Bat music.
He's not a bat, he's a man who fights crime. And we're gonna watch him fight for a minute at a time. With Jon and Niall and a guest who doesn't rhyme. It's Bat Minute!
Hello and welcome once again to Bat Minute Returns, the show that struggles to cope with the monster it's created, but it'll never throw its good listeners away, as we investigate Tim Burton's Batman Returns 1 minute at a time. I am one of your hosts, John Parker.
Oh, I am the other host, Niall McGowan. I like that intro, John. That was... I was really worried you were going to say about throwing the show into the sewer or something. I was like, where's he going with this?
Screw this show.
That would be actually a good one. It was just like the official end of the show was just me and you going up with like our laptops and throwing them in.
Isn't that what we're doing? I mean, I'm planning that.
Oh, you have to wait till Christmas, though. You have to wait until it's snowing out, at least.
Oh, of course. But yes, welcome to Minute 3. The minute starts with infanticide, and it ends with names being shoved into our eyeballs.
We're back. We're back in friggin' Credit Town.
You've been waiting for it. I know you've been looking forward to it, everyone. It's credits.
I am curious to see like how the next week's gonna go, because like I was saying off mic just a minute ago, like this just seems to be going so much faster than it did last season. I was like, that's because you got stuff to talk about. You just wait till you end those credits, buddy.
Yeah, now we're like, we're old hands at this. This is what we do for our bread and butter. Yeah, we get paid to do this now, don't we?
Yeah, we have ourselves earned a like I am sitting with a monocle on. Like that's how much money I got now.
I'm recording on my gold toilet.
Yeah, I just had to take out my cigarette holder with the cigarette at the end because it didn't sound so good when I was kind of talking at the one side of my mouth on the mic.
That was my attempt at a Burgess Meredith. It was terrible.
Oh man, so many impressions to get to later on. You got all the Danny DeVito ones, the Burgess Meredith ones, the walk-ins. Oh, so many impressions to come.
But I'm excited for the guests to do this. I'm not doing it.
This is gonna be like a friggin' with Jack Palance impressions last year. William Hootkins, who? William Hootkins. That's more like
Hootkins.
We got impressions of the Yin Yang coming up. Again, this is the other point where the other half of the listeners will be like, nope, I'm out. I'm not enduring that.
We're down to 3 guys. Thank you for sticking with us. Yes, the minute starts here. As I say, we are back with the Cobblepots. They pick up their child in a basket. Oh, that's very sweet, isn't it? And then they throw him in the river.
I feel like they're really, really bad at doing it too. Like there's a lot of struggling. Man. Yeah, I don't know, so much heavier. They're very violently kind of rattling it out. There's no love lost. It's really like just get this thing out of here. Like there's a very vicious sort of. There's a viciousness to them throwing this child in the river,
rather than out of love.
Yeah, of course. Usually you would do it with a bit of tenderness, but
well, I got the vibe from it as well. Which, I mean, it comes up later on with another plot in the movie, which I won't go too much into, of course. But it very much feels like this is the creation of an evil Moses.
Yeah, this is actually, I'd say keep stuff like that in mind, because there's a couple of weird religious motifs that start popping up throughout the movie. This Moses one is the first of them, I'd say. Unless you want to allude to the Christmas one as well, but like...
We'll get there. But I did read an article, though, that equated this and the plot kind of later on. They saw it as being very anti-Semitic.
Really?
Yeah. It was an interesting article. I don't subscribe to that. Like, I don't think Burton... He certainly didn't intend it to come across that way. But it was still a very interesting piece. I enjoy reading varying opinions and things. So it was interesting to see that, because it's like this Moses-like figure he's horrible, evil. They're trying to get rid of him, Yeah. And the things he does later.
Yeah, that is a kind of interesting sort of way of looking at it. Because, what is the intention, though, of the whole, the Moses, like the basket and the weeds kind of thing. So that is what they're going for. Like it is like there's they kind of been something that escaped their attention. So and again he does sort of lead this sort of group of outcasts and stuff later on in the movie. Like he is a kind of Moses figure to the Red Triangle gang and his army of penguins. So it is. I think
it is from Tim Burton's point of view, though. It is just like, what if it was an evil Moses? I don't think he's thought about it more than that. I mean, I won't defend him completely. I don't know.
Yeah,
honestly.
There's also kind of like there's a weird. No matter how like sleazy and perverted he gets, the penguin always comes across as a bit like you're supposed to be not on his side, but there's a bit of like there is a tragic element to him because when again we're really getting ahead of ourselves here, but when he dies, the scene is like it's very it's played very sad, like it's a real very emotionally charged sort of sad death.
Yeah, well, he has been let down by the only people who could have maybe turned him around from the monster he is.
Yeah. So again, we're talking about like, okay, if you want to go back to the whole dark mirror thing of like he's the dark mirror of Bruce Wayne. Bruce Wayne's parents were taken from him, and this is like the parents rejecting the child. So again, it's like you could do him like he's like an evil Moses, whereas Moses was leading people into the promised land and all this, doing things for the greater good. This guy he's leading himself and his friends back into society, and that's the promised land of like.
That makes sense. Like that would be their promised land.
Yeah. Although the thing is, it seems to be mostly for him. That's the thing.
Are you saying he doesn't care about those penguins?
Well, maybe the penguins. The
penguins,
for sure, but like the other people, like the rest of the Red Triangle gang. Probably not, no.
Well, yeah, again, I don't really care about people. Penguins, though, I'll help penguins.
Yeah. But, this is all stuff we got coming further on down the road.
Yep.
But, we'll just note as well that, we now we've got characters from, Batman lore here. We won't get too much into the Penguin's early days because that's stuff we're going to talk about when the Penguin actually shows up.
Yes.
But in terms of his parents in the comic books, this is not the comic story. None of this is a thing that has anything to do with the comics. Not the Penguin, anyway. A lot of people say it's very similar to the origin story of Killer Croc, but not the Penguin. But within the comic books, the sort of unnamed parents of the Penguin, his father apparently died from bronchial pneumonia. Wasn't around. No Paul Rubens in the comics. And then his overprotective mother would, again, all from keep having trouble saying this, aristocratic stock. There you go. She would always force him to, take an umbrella with him everywhere because of his father's death through pneumonia. She became very, very overprotective, which is it's the exact opposite of these parents.
Yeah, completely.
Like, not only the father, wasn't present, and then his mother was very overly loving, you would say, and then he turned to the life of crime after his mother died. So that's one thing. And then even we alluded to that Paul Rubens, of course, sort of not reprised the role, but again played another version of the Penguin's father in the Gotham TV show, where we had he was Elijah Vandal, which I'm guessing is a play on Vandal. But
I didn't make that connection. Yeah. Oh my god!
And then
I kind of love it and hate it all at once.
Yeah, and then he was with Gertrude Cobbleput, who I do remember from the few episodes that I saw. I really remember because it's Carol Kane who plays her, and I love Carol Kane. Like I've always had a real thing for her during her Annie Hall 1970s kind of era. And like,
I can see that. Yeah, she's cool.
Yeah, and then she kind of grew into playing like crazy haired mental women, and it was just like
which is my kind of thing.
Yeah, and so I was like, I love her even more now. This is great. So, so she was playing the parents, and had to go in and look in the Gotham wiki, but apparently the Penguin. To be fair, in Gotham, the episodes I saw, the guy playing the Penguin seemed to be pretty good. Like he was the highlight of the show. And then
No, he was fantastic, actually. The episodes I saw, he really did stand out.
it seems like I think that was a thing that was the word that got out very early on, was like, this guy's the show. And then everything else around it we need to fix. But
yeah, I'd like to see him in some other roles. I think that's all I've watched him in.
Oh yeah, I think he was briefly in The Walking Dead, but like, yeah.
Oh, I checked out of that a while ago.
But the versions of the penguin's parents in that, again, apparently his mother very, very loving, and then once he tracks down, apparently his mother had an affair with the rich, wealthy Elijah Van Dahl, who was son to rich parents, and then their affair was in secret and illegitimate, and then she ran away, told baby Oswald that his father was dead. And then once she died, he found his dad, and it turns out his dad was really like into him. Like, he loved him. He's like, oh, I'm going to embrace my son now. And you would have assumed they would have gone. I'm assuming that was the way they played it. Was like, you would think he's going to be some rich asshole who has nothing to do with the kid, but apparently he was nothing but supportive. It was a bit of a weird.
Oh, that's interesting. I like that.
Yeah, it's a weird twist because it's like a flip of this version of the Cobblepot patriarch, basically, where he's this guy could not hate his kid more if he tried. So,
jeez, actually, you bringing up the affair there, it just reminded me that my partner Lol, who may be on the show at some point, she suggested to me because she watched this minute with me. Actually, she suggested that perhaps the Cobblepots, being like rich jerks, could very well be inbred, and that's why their baby looks like this. And I was like, I love that. That's fantastic. Like they all hook up, and they're brother and sister and things.
Well, that's actually the thing is that would make perfect sense as a thing, because you do have to ask, what happened? Why is the baby this deformed? What did occur that he was so hideous? And something like that would be like, a thing you wouldn't put in. Again, they put in enough in this movie, but like,
he probably tried to put it.
Yeah, there'll be a point where like the Warner Brothers was like, no, like, just stop. We've got a Happy Meal tie-in. Come on, you can't do that. But yeah, that's actually good, because my only thinking was that if you take out, much like they did, the element that Max Schreck is actually the brother of Oswald Cobblepot. There is a bit where you find out, later on in the movie, where the penguin's he's showing Max Schreck all the various things he's dug up on him. And he has a bit where he's like, oh, I've got a batch of toxic waste from your clean textile plant. And there's a whole lagoon of this crud in the back. And I was thinking, like, maybe would it be a good tie-in, say that Max Schreck came from a family much like the Cobblepots, where like the Schrecks are inherited wealth, and his father was an industrialist as well. And it's actually the Shrek's pollution that led to Oswald Cobblepot being this deformed.
Yes.
So it's like there's two angles there. Like, both of them I would happily go for. Of like, the one I've come up with is a bit comic booky, but then the one Lowell came across with is like disturbingly realistic, because it's like, I guess that is the most logical thing. It was like, yeah, maybe they are inbred.
I would accept either of those. I think they're both great explanations.
And it would actually potentially give us an explanation as to why the Cobblepots seemingly have died out by the time the penguin sort of makes his ascent, because he comes there as the grave. There's no other family, so it's like, maybe they inbred themselves to extinction or something.
I could buy that. I think that would add even more to this movie. I'm gonna believe it.
Yeah, we can pass it by. We'll pass the theories to the guests, and then see which one they prefer, or if they have another idea as to why the hell the penguin is so deformed. We'll see what we come up with by the end of the movie.
Yeah, every single guest, we want you to think about it now. Why is he the way he is? Tell us.
That's that's good. It's some good thinking there. So where are we? Oh, we're still at the beginning of the minute.
The beginning of the minute.
But yeah, we do get there's not much to report on. Much more action is like the carriage.
No, this is going to be a short one. I'll be honest.
Yeah, the carriage goes into the water, and then we get a shot of them. They do look a bit. You can see they're a bit more rattled now, though. There's a sort of the weight of what they've done is kind of like, oh my god, yeah, we've actually done this. Instead of giving the kid up for adoption or something, we've thrown him in a river.
Even if you want rid of him, I think even these people who came up with this plan and executed it, in that moment, they're like, that was pretty messed up.
Yeah. I thought one thing really struck me was that seeing Rubens with that hat on and the little gray hair and the monocle and stuff, he really looked like a young version of Alfred. Like
oh my god, twist coming.
Yeah, that'd be great. It turns out like Alfred Pennyworth is actually an alias, and it turns out that he was actually he was Tucker Cobblepot this whole time. He lost all his money.
Even better, he was Esther.
And he lost all his money and had to go become the Wayne's butler.
Yeah.
And the whole time from within, he's just been like, me and my son, we've connected years later, and we're secretly taking down the Wayne family from within.
Oh my god, we're onto it. The secret plot of this film.
Yeah, that's why he was so gung-ho last movie, trying to get Bruce Wayne and Vicky hooked up. He's like, I can get him to stop being Batman through like just giving him, something else to pay attention to rather than that. But like, no. I'm looking forward to getting to Alfred to see where his character has progressed in this movie, because that was his big thing. Is like he was the guy who was he was the matchmaker who was trying to set up. He was supportive, but trying to set up Bruce into a happier life or a more normal life, and didn't work. And
what are you talking about? I mean, he's still with Vicky, right?
Oh, of course, yes. We're gonna cut quickly to the next scene is the Caribbean honeymoon of Vicky Vale.
Yeah, they're married. They've got a couple of kids. They got a little Batmite,
But we'll see.
We will see. I do like though the basket floating off down the river, and you just hear the cries. So the baby isn't dead.
Yeah.
No, Cobblepot's alive. He very much is alive. It's a very strange plan. Do they expect he's going to starve to death? Do they want someone to pick him up? Like what are they hoping for with just throwing him in the basket rather than just lashing the body of the baby?
Yeah, it'll get you like, freeze to death or something as well. The buoyancy of this basket is quite impressive considering.
Yeah.
Was it like it looks like it's wicker or something at the top? So it's like, how's it keeping the water out?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe the bottom isn't. It's kind of hard to see because in typical Tim Burton style, it's very dark visually.
Here's a thought actually. Maybe because to me it looks like it's wicker. And we said like, oh yeah, the look they have is a bit like, oh my god, this is pretty heavy what we've done. Maybe it's actually look of they were expecting the basket to sink straight away. And the fact that it's floating away, they're kind of like, oh god, what the hell? Like that.
Yeah, that's the look on their face, like, oh crap.
Yeah, this. Let's hope this never comes back to bite us in the ass. That thing should have sank straight to the bottom. But
that's probably what it is. Yeah. Oh, we've cracked it. We've solved the case, guys. That's it. Wrap it up.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, I guess if they're nimble-footed, they could have ran down and just got the basket back if they wanted. But. Of course, though, we do know that this bridge they're on would, cut to the 1980s, and it'd be plastered with graffiti, and would become inhabited by an angel who would hang around with Prince. And the rest of this movie becomes Graffiti Bridge again. And me and John go and jump into a river ourselves because we realized we'd have to watch that whole friggin' movie again.
We're trapped in a never-ending nightmare.
Would be something though, like they put the bridge in. Tim Burton and Prince were like great friends, so he's like, I'm gonna put in a little allusion to Graffiti Bridge in the next Batman movie by having
maybe it is, man.
Yeah, it's like, oh, the penguin's throwing off a bridge. There you go,
a graffiti bridge.
But yeah, I do like that. That is a great shot, though. The whole composition of that actually is really good. Of like the from behind seeing the basket going in and then falling over the edge and hearing the cries. And again, we've had allusions to the Penguins theme before, but then we get that kind of like not quite the leitmotif, but the kind of dung dung dung. They got twanging sort of. I'm not too sure what that would be. I guess it's someone plucking like an oboe, not an oboe, like a cello or something.
Oh, God knows I'm the worst with this. Chrysanthi, tell us. Come on. We'll tag you in this post.
Yeah, and then you get the final cry as it goes over the edge, and then that nice little violin kind of going like, dee, dee, and then going into your building of the Batman theme. It's like, oh, that's pretty cool. Because, as we established in the first movie, is like one of the best things you could do with the Batman theme in any state of it is to sort of start off slow and then build up to the crescendo of the main theme, which is what we get for the rest of the minute, pretty much. So, like, we don't get...
So you like it, you prefer to whack slow, not whack fast.
Slow, then fast, John.
I really hope people know this reference.
But yeah, because I think it was in, like, might have been the end of minute 1 or something, the last one. Because when you get the title, you do get that sort of... And this one, we're getting the beginnings of it. And I'm kind of like... This is blue balls for me. It's like, oh, you're getting it's reaching, it's moving up, and then the violins are really going into this, you're like, oh, it's still not there. Come on, just go. You're almost there. Damn it.
Elfman's teasing you. He's teasing it.
He knows what I want, and he won't give it to me.
He's edging you into next week.
But of course, then I was like, might as well start. We get the credits.
Yeah, woo, woo, woo.
Well, what's the first credit here? Is
Tim Burton?
Yeah, Timmy B. What's he been up to since the last time we saw him?
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be a Batman movie without Tim, right? You can't do that. You can't make a Batman movie without him.
Why. Oh, actually, one note I will say, because the first credit actually is Warner Brothers Presents, technically. So, and I will note that
Mr. Picky.
No, I'll only bring it up because it reminded me of a review I read of the movie recently of someone who didn't like it. And one of his big complaints was that the credits come up and they put in brackets like in boring Times New Roman font. It's like,
if that's your criticism,
it's like, what?
just shut up.
Yeah, it's like, what, you can't even... Oh, the font of the credits isn't even good enough. It's not like it's friggin' Comic Sans or something. I mean, Jesus Christ.
Oh my God. Can someone please redo this scene just in Comic Sans? That would be incredible.
But the thing is, I would have never identified. I guess, yeah, it is Times New Roman, but that never would have occurred to me. I'm not that... I've used Times New Roman, I'm a friggin' proofreader as a living. I see Times New Roman every day, but I never identified, like, oh yeah, that's that font. Maybe because it just, to me, just seems like that's basic. That's basic font.
Yeah, it was. They've replaced it as the default now, haven't they?
Have they? What's the default now?
The default... what is the default now?
Because everything I get still in Times New Roman, so...
No, people are changing it to that. That's not the default. Hang on. Cut this bit out because I'm searching for it. I've got open Word. Hang on.
Oh, I really hope it's like Galactic Basic. That'd be...
So the default now is Calibri.
Really?
And it comes in an 11 point.
Oh, I do actually... I have seen Calibri pop up, and I've had to... Because we get weird things in the proof reading biz. Half the time they'll have that font, and then they'll have some sentences in a, instead of like 11.5, it'll be an 11. You have to go manually change it and stuff. It's baffling some of the things to do. But
that's probably because they've copied and pasted something in that's a different size, and they haven't done it without formatting. Yeah. They've kept the format.
Almost definitely.
We're on to you. Yeah. But with regards to Tim Burton, I mean, obviously, we've talked about him a lot in the last film, and I'm sure we'll bring up some more facts here and there. I'll say one thing, though. I mean, he originally didn't want to direct another film in this franchise, did he? He said, but he did say, I love this quote. He said in 1989, "I will return if the sequel offers something new and exciting. Otherwise, it's a most dumbfounded idea." That is a very weird way of phrasing. Like, unless I can do what I want, I'm not.
That sounds like a press quote that Bruce Wayne would have given via Alfred. Like,
yeah.
Like, I'll say something that sounds like me, Alfred. Oh, it's the most dumbfounded idea. Yeah, that sounds great.
On one hand, that doesn't sound like Tim Burton, but his obsession with Britishness, I mean, yeah, okay, I can kind of buy it.
But yeah, obviously in the in-between projects, he did... I guess some people still argue... You always hear... Edward Scissorhands and Ed Wood, the two Eds, they're always sort of put up there as Tim.
The Ed duology.
Yeah, they're up there as Tim Burton's sort of height, really. Like, and the thing is, like, Edward Scissorhands to me, it's a great movie, but I can never watch it because it's just so upsetting. Like, it's really emotionally gets to me. It's like, why have they been so horrible to this poor man?
Well, that's why it's good.
I can't watch that though. It's just like, no, it's too depressing. It's like, I can watch Ed Wood because like, oh, it's just some idiot who's like a cockeyed optimist, and people are crapping on his movies, but he's so sort of gung ho and goes out, he rises above everything.
Or you can watch babies getting thrown into rivers. That's fine.
Oh yeah, this is all fine. Yeah, but like people picking on needlessly framing poor Edward Scissorhands for robbing a house, and then everyone just, all the people who loved him just turning on him instantly. It's like, what the hell? This is awful. So no, a great movie, all that. Wonderful Danny Elfman score in it and stuff. Can't watch the movie ever again. It'll be a dark day for me. Like, well, it's not a dark day, but it'll be a weird day if I watch Edward Scissorhands again.
It'll be a dark night.
Yeah. Don't know why I gave that such a sort of glib response there.
Screw you.
Of course, actually, one thing we could say is that because we got the three first credits come up here. Timmy B, Mickey K. Keaton.
Oh, Mickey K's back, baby.
Climbed to the top of that credits ladder after he got rid of Jack Nicholson. So.
Yes, the star of the movie is finally in the first place.
The title character has finally got his name first in the freaking credits. And then, of Danny DeVito pops up. And notably, as of recording, those three fellas, they have worked, together kind of individually. Like, Michael Keaton obviously worked with Tim Burton on Beetlejuice. Danny DeVito would work with him again in Mars Attacks and Big Fish. But the three of them, this upcoming Dumbo movie, you got Tim Burton, Michael Keaton, Danny DeVito all together in the same movie again. So,
I mean, I know we do rag on modern Burton a little bit, but I know I'm gonna end up watching that film at some point.
Thing is, like, have you
not in the cinema maybe?
Have you watched the trailer though? Have you?
Yeah, I was. It was okay.
The thing, because people were really like, "Oh, Burton's back! This looks amazing!" And it looked to me so schmaltzy and unappealing. Like, I hate schmaltzy, and it just looked like, oh, it's a big cute elephant. And people are picking on the elephant. It's like, this is the deformed elephant didn't do anything wrong.
To be honest, that is why Burton is drawn to these stories. He said this before. It's because, he always viewed himself as an outsider. He's basically a goth, isn't he? Let's be honest.
Oh, yeah, he is.
He always viewed himself as an outsider. So he loves the outsider story where people are picking on, because that's what happened to him.
That's arguably what happens in this movie with the penguin. It's kind of in a weird way. If Tim Burton's copping to be like, I too am a sleazy, perverted criminal mastermind. But
he's been trying to tell us all these years.
Yeah, but the other thing from that, the main thing is like, oh, why would people pick on this poor elephant so much? And then I saw Michael Keaton's wig, and I was like, oh, I'm going to make fun of Michael Keaton's wig so much.
Isn't that what we do on the podcast? Just make fun of people anyway.
But not, we're not Anthony Michael Hall and Edward Scissorhands. At least I hope not, anyway.
Oh, jeez. I don't know. I mean, you are, but...
Hey!
No, I mean, there's one person we can't hate, though. Danny DeVito. We both love him.
Oh,
we?
yeah.
I mean, I'm obsessed with him. I love even stuff that other people don't like. I love Always Sunny. I love Romancing the Stone, Twins, Last Action Hero Jr., Mars Attacks. I even love his cameo in Goldmember.
Well, the thing is, this is like the height of DeVito as well. But it is kind of weird considering now, like, you don't get men like Danny DeVito being stars. Who would be the modern equivalent of Danny DeVito? Like, because this guy was like, the two movies he did beforehand was a movie called Money and another movie called Other People's Money, which is a very weird combo. But like,
I'd love it if they weren't related in any way.
Oh, they're not related in any way, except the fact Danny DeVito's on them. But
Really?
Yeah.
No.
And then Other People's Money, he's like, the poster of the movie is just Danny DeVito. So this guy was like a name brand star enough that he could open a movie. If you look at the video, then so like, he is not a conventionally attractive man. And you can't. Is there anybody nowadays like who would be like, oh, not conventionally? I guess she'd be like Amy Schumer, but then it's like, because she's not, not conventionally attractive. Some people say that she's still a pretty good looking woman, to be fair. But it's like, but she's got enough star wattage, and it's like, it's very. That's kind of the thing. It's like a lot of my childhood is like, I remember Danny DeVito being like a big deal, and then,
oh god, he was huge.
Yeah, and then he just sort of disappeared for a while, and now he's kind of come. He's back with It's Always Sunny, but then that's a kind of cult thing. Like, that's not everyone.
Well, over here, I don't know. I mean, in the USA, is it? I think in the USA it might be bigger than we're thinking.
I don't know. It always sort of struck me as very like it was a very just cheap little show that was flying under the radar for so long, and then eventually got a big enough stature to be like people started paying attention to it. But
well, they paid their dues. They earned it.
Yeah. But yeah, the Danny D. Of course, we'll be talking about him in great length further on down the line, and And won't get into much with all these people because we're gonna be we got the whole friggin' movie to be talking about them.
Yeah, we're gonna pepper this, guys. We're not gonna give you all the facts about all of them just because their names popped up.
But then, of course, then we get Michelle Pfeiffer pops up, and arguably, surely
not playing a love interest for Bruce because, as we just discussed, he's with Vicky.
Well, in fair though, she does a lot more. I'd actually argue, like in terms of acting, she's the one who gets like the biggest stuff to do because like DeVito's he's batting for the cages, going crazy with this whole penguin thing, and he does a great job. Michael Keaton arguably gets a bit more to do in the end, but and Walken's just there, kind of like just been Chris Walken.
Yeah, he's not even really playing a character as such. He's just do your Christopher Walken shtick. Yeah, just do that.
But Michelle Pfeiffer, it's kind of like her movie. It's like hers is like one of the biggest arcs. She gets the emotional gamut of just she gets to play every emotion. Goes from sad and completely destitute and broken to empowered and strong to insane rage and smugness and a bit of sexy sultriness, and she gets to do everything in this movie. It's a real, I would say, even in my own mind, if someone else is if you say Danny DeVito, I go instant thought would be oh, It's Always Sunny, or even Matilda or something. I wouldn't instantly go to Batman Returns. Or you said Michael Keaton.
I think I go to Twins.
Of course, with the future Mr. Freeze.
Yes.
But if you said Michael Keaton to me, I'd instantly be oh, Beetlejuice. That's where my mind goes. But you say Michelle Pfeiffer to me, it's instantly oh yeah, Catwoman from Batman Returns. That's her biggest part to me. I don't think she's ever. I'm sure there probably is some drama that there'll be something she's in where she's actually doing a very heartfelt thing where she's just playing a normal woman or something. But it wouldn't.
Absolutely.
I just haven't seen it. But I think it's it's probably the best she ever. This is the best she's ever been.
Well, I'll be honest, right? I mean, I think she's incredible in this movie, but I haven't actually seen her in a lot. Bits and pieces here and there. Most recently I enjoyed her in Mother.
I was John, we just talked about films with the exclamation points in the title. It's not Mother, it's Mother.
Mother. No, I liked her in that. There's only a few others, a handful of others, and I'll get this out of the way immediately. She looks stunning in this movie. I mean, it's topped the last movie for beauty.
Yeah, and she doesn't even need the Vicky Vale wall of hair. She's got that.
No, but it would improve things even more.
She does get some impressive height going in the hair actually towards the end. When she's down the sewers with Max Schreck, her hair is going for a bit of a crazy Robert Smith thing there. But this is probably I don't know if she ever really got to sort of play in this big toy box again.
Not to my knowledge, no.
Yeah, but then we'll obviously look into her career more in depth, as we go throughout the movie. But I do know.
I did. Sorry, you go.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, notably again, because we try to work in one every once in a while, and everything's connected. Because I did note that the movie she did before this was Frankie and Johnny, which is a rom-com between her and Al Pacino. And I actually remember seeing it as a kid because I remember him pestering her. And because I think Frankie and Johnny is a song by Elvis and stuff I think it's a standard, but Elvis did a version of it. I remember him, and she's called Frankie in it, and he's called Johnny, and he's just going around oh, but you're Frankie, I'm Johnny. Frankie and Johnny were sweethearts. Maybe we should get together, and all this kind of stuff. And she's just really having none of them. But of course, she ends up getting together with him. But that Frankie and Johnny is directed by the late great Gary Marshall, the guy who created Happy Days, and obviously went on to do Pretty Woman and stuff. But he also notably did The Princess Diaries. He directed that. And of course, The Princess Diaries was the films that, made Anne Hathaway, who of course would go on to be the next cinematic Catwoman. So there you go.
That's crazy. Oh wait, though. No, hang on. The next one after this.
The next cinematic Catwoman. Oh, all right. I mean, well, the next cinematic Selena Kyle. Then, all right. Let's put it that way.
Yes, there is another one that will never get mentioned.
I think we're gonna, if not throughout the show, at least when we're done for a hiatus project, I have a feeling we're going to end up watching that Catwoman movie.
100% that's going to be a hiatus episode. So yeah.
I have a feeling though, I'd be worried if like maybe guests will bring it up enough throughout the show that we're like, we're gonna have to watch this thing now, just so we're familiar with it. And it looks like I remember even trying to watch it, but I think maybe because I had like I like a bad movie, but I had such an attachment to like I grew up with this movie, so like to me Catwoman's a big deal as a character. And then just to see this, like, what do you mean it's not Selena Kyle? And what's happening? She's like an Egyptian goddess, and what? And it's like Sharon Stone's a beauty magnet who's trying to kill people with makeup and stuff. Is this what that? And it's seeing the outfit and been like, what the hell is this outfit? This is awful.
And that script for that movie came out of this.
Yeah, it was supposed to be a spin-off that that just ended up getting completely. Apparently, got thrown off over a bridge into a sewer, and then
the deformed baby of this film. Something I did like about Catwoman as well, with regards to this movie, that when the publicity began for Batman Returns. This is great. Warner Brothers had to constantly submit new Catwoman posters because they kept getting stolen from bus stops and things like that. Because people were just like, "Whoa, this is sexy," and it got so bad that the police were asked to patrol bus stops to catch the guys doing it before they could break the plexiglass. And then eventually Warner Brothers just were like, "Right, fine, we've had enough." And started sending out Penguin posters instead, and none of them were stolen. Not one.
I do think it must have been a thing though, because again, when I was you're a kid, you don't really notice that. But I do remember my dad giving out years later, been like, because I think he saw this when I was a kid, and he was just like, that film's just completely inappropriate for children. And one of the things he says, like, that Catwoman's far far too sexual in it as well.
Oh, she is purely sexual, but it's done in a way that's not like exploitative. It's more like she's kind of like a dom.
Oh, yeah, it is very much like it is owning your sexuality. I am woman, hear me roar, kind of thing. I was like, you can look, but you can't touch. So that got kind of like, I'll wear whatever I want, and it's up to, I'm not putting anything on display for you. It's for my own sense of self and whatnot. Like it's it's very much it's owning sexuality, but in a very empowered way. Yeah. So, but yeah, we got the. As Michelle Pfeiffer, obviously go into her and Catwoman in much more depth later on. We do get, the beginnings of Chris Walken's credit coming up.
Oh.
But should we leave that? We're going to leave him for next week, I think, really, because
we'll go into that more next week. I'll say one thing, right? I mean, first off, what a cast so far!
Oh yeah,
like, amazing.
Yeah, jeez.
But no matter what gold this man has done, Christopher bloody Walken. There's a lot of gold. I still just picture and hear him in his Pulp Fiction cameo, no matter what. Going on about sticking a watch up his ass.
So he went for years, was watch up his ass.
He'll never live that down. Something else he won't live down, actually. There's one thing that ruins his entire career. We can just delete him from the database, because he did appear in Joe Dirt 2, Beautiful Loser.
To be fair, though, he's in a lot of crap. Like Walken is. I think he might have been like, him and Michael Caine are the most blatant. Like, I'll be in anything. Like if you pay me, I'll be in whatever. I'll be in your wedding video. I'll be in whatever. Just if you pay me, if you come and go like, make check payable to Christopher Walken. Done. Like that's all he needs.
So we're getting him for the Bat Minute Returns wrap party, yeah? If we
can somehow start a Patreon or a Kickstarter just to get Chris Walken on the show, just to be like, we raised like $5 million or something, just to get him here and be like, hey Chris, how's it going?
Somewhat ambitious, but yes.
I don't even know if he'd need $5 million. I think he might be like, hey, maybe not $5,000, maybe like $50,000. He might be like, oh, you guys really want me on the show? Huh?
I'll buy him a Mars bar and a Coke. It'll be all right.
We try to give him diabetes or something, Jesus. But yeah, obviously we'll be talking a lot about Chris Walken. It's like there's a lot of good stuff to come there, and the rest of the credits. There's a couple of little tidbits here because this shot goes on for a while. But a bit of info on this, the setup of the shot as well. But I think I'll leave that. I'll tease people with that. Much like Danny Elfman's teasing me with this build up in the score. I'll tease people into coming back next week to find out what it is.
Hopefully you can hold it till Monday, Niall, and hopefully listeners you can. Without us, all weekend you're gonna have to just be teased and tense because you're not getting your Bat Minute. But yes, join us again on Monday, because we will be back with more. We will have minute 4. That was an unintentional rhyme. And it was a masterpiece, if I do say so myself. Send us messages everywhere we are. Everywhere. We are on Facebook at Bat Minute, and also the Bat Minute Listeners Cave original. We are on Twitter as well at, you guessed it, Bat Minute. So send us a tweet, because we do enjoy a good natter. And review us on iTunes. You know what else would really help? It would fund loads of late night beer drink. I mean, it would fund the show. Would be if you bought a T-shirt or a mug or something. So go on our TeePublic too. Thanks, guys.
I think we do have baby grows and pillowcases. So if you want to wake up every morning with me and John's faces right beside you, you can do that now.
There's only a lucky few people who've had that happen in their life, but you can join their ranks. And yes, join us again on Monday for minute 4 of Bat Minute returns.
Next time. The times, they are New Roman. As an abandoned baby keeps on bobbing, various folks are thanked for their jobbing. But which beloved butler and credited commissioner will confirm that Batman isn't the only one to return? Find out next week. Same Bat Pod, a different Bat Minute.